Hi everyone, welcome to Southern Comfort Knits. I'm Lori and I live in Charlotte, North Carolina. I almost think I forget how to do this. It's probably been about 4 or 5 weeks. My husband had surgery and then had to have emergency surgery, so things went a little bit longer than expected, at least my time away. But anyway, he's doing great now, thank goodness. And I am back to normal and back on track. So today I'd like to talk to you about what I have been working on. I really needed something simple to work on, and you'll see that when I go down a rabbit hole, I jump in with both feet, and yeah, you'll see. I have a lot to talk about. What I do also want to share is that I'm going to start separating my segments and labeling them and listing little time separations. So if there's something you want to skip over, you can go right to whips or books or movies or randomness. And that way you can actually see exactly what it is that you're interested in. Okay, I think that's it. So let's get started, and I'm going to tell you all about my FOs. Okay, so let's talk about FOs. So while my husband was recovering and throughout many different things that happened, whether I was in the hospital or on the weekend where he was not mobile, I needed something to do, and knitting always works. So I really did not have the bandwidth to work on a sweater or something super complicated. And something I have been wanting to try for a long time are headbands. I make a ton of hats. I probably have like one that I wear because I never want to mess up my hair. Or, you know, if you have curly hair and you wear a hat. So I thought I would try some headbands. So let's talk about the first one I tried. And this one is called the Snowdrop Headband. I actually have 2 more downstairs that I worked on. Let me find, I think the one I have kept for myself is downstairs. Some of these will have little labels on them. I'm not sure I love the labels that I have, and I think I want to get a different one that has a grommet. The other ones I have, you have to sew in, and I just like the look of the grommet better. So this is the Snowdrop Headband. This is Lemonade Shop DK, and I think it's called Eat Glass. It was from the Schitt's Creek. You know, I'm using the new cinematic iPhone recording, so I really have no idea how this is looking. I hope it's okay. One of the things I forgot to mention in the beginning is that you can find me on Ravelry under LP Pearl or on Instagram under Southern Comfort Knits. I do not post all of my makes on Instagram because there's just too many. Everything can be found in Ravelry, and I will have that link below. You can find some of them on the Instagram. How old am I? So this is, let me look at this one. This is, what did I do? You know what? I made a sweater out of this. This is the second time I'm doing this. The first time I did it, I think I had way too much coffee, and I swear it looked like I was on drugs. I was talking so fast, so I decided to redo it. Okay, this one is a French yarn. I'm gonna put the name up here, Tote Le Matin Yarn DK, and I think this is so beautiful. I can't tell. But I made a whole sweater out of this, and this was the leftover. So that's the other thing I wanted to mention to you. Most of what I'm going to show you were leftovers from something that I made. Like this was a leftover. This is, let's see, this one is gorgeous in person. I'm looking at my iPad on Ravelry. This is Madeline Tosh DK Grace Notes. And this is a beautiful khaki with like all kinds of, it almost looks like tweed, but I think it's, wish I could show you this closer. I'm not sure I like this cinematic view. Oh, there you go. Okay, got to get all up in it so you can see how it's dyed. It's really beautiful. Okay. And then I have 2 more. So 2 of these were mine. And I will tell you, this one is one that you knit lengthwise and then mattress stitched together. I have not mattress stitched anything, probably in about 15 years. So they are not pretty. The first one I did completely wrong, and there's an outward seam. So I kept that for myself. The other, I've gotten progressively better, but I have also looked for patterns that do not require a mattress stitch. So this one was the Snowdrop headband. And if you think that I might be a little bit crazy for making all of these, I will tell you that I do have a plan for most of these. And I'll tell you that at the end. Okay, so the next one that I did was Mandarine, M-A-N-D-A-R-I-N-E. And this was made out of EcoView Fiber Mill recycled yarn. And all of the yarn is, the little Tweety bits are recycled. I believe EcoView went out of business. It was a North Carolina fiber mill, and I think it did go out of business this past year. I do have a sweater in this, and I really, really loved it. This one I think is a chunky or a bulky, I can't remember, but I like this a lot. So I have 2 of those. I love tweed, isn't it gorgeous? Okay, and that, like I said, was Mandarine. Then the next one I made, I can't even remember why I had this yarn. I know I made a pussy hat. Remember when that was a thing? And something for one of my nieces, but I had a little bit left over. Look how pretty that is. This is also the Lemonade Shop, and it's Glenda. It looks so much prettier far away. But this one is a crossover. Now I will tell you, I did not follow the pattern. The pattern, I have 5 rows of cables. The pattern, I think it was a drops pattern, and honestly I can't always understand those international patterns. And this one had you growing it to 6 so that it would look more substantial. I couldn't figure it out, so because I was still just playing around with it, this is what I ended up with. And here's another example of a very crappy mattress stitch. But like I said, this one was for me. This one is for me. I'll show you the ones that I'm keeping for myself at the end. But I thought that was cute. Let's see. Okay, then next I went on to, I had purchased some Knit Picks yarn because I wanted to, I got some single skeins just to try out because I wanted to do like a test swatch to see if they were something I'd want to make a sweater out of, and I absolutely would want to make a sweater out of this. This is Knit Picks City Tweed, and the pattern is called Emerald Song Headband, and this one is knit in the round, and it is a pretty basic stitch. Really simple. And this color is Cobalt. So I have 2 of those. I did not put the little, I can't remember what I called them already. But you know what I'm talking about, the little label. I'm going to put that on. And here's a green. I thought that was pretty too. I couldn't find, it was something like Forest or Hunter or something like that, but these are super soft. Knit Picks City Tweed is 55% merino, 25% alpaca, and 20% acrylic. But honestly, it is so soft and so warm. This one I love. And I will probably be keeping one of these. Okay, let's see what I did next. Yeah, there's more. It keeps going. Okay. I'm looking at my page in the order that I did things, so I also wanted to show you something else that I decided to try, and I decided to do a Sophie scarf. And this was made out of pineapple yarn. I did their Sun Club a year or 2 ago where you would get, it was a subscription service and you would get a yarn every month, and the one I did, it was either called Sun or Neon, I can't remember. But they were all bright, happy colors. These were all part of the Sun Club. As you can tell, I have not done much with them, but I've started finding lots of uses for them. So what I did want to tell you is that there are other similar patterns to the Sophie scarf out there, and they are there for free. I downloaded that first, and then I had some difficulty with understanding what they were trying to say. So I thought I would spend the money, buy the pattern for the Sophie scarf, and honestly, it was so much easier. I personally think it's worth it I think this pattern is so well written. It's beautiful, and if you don't know, it has a I-cord edge, and unfortunately I do have a scarf on. I'll tell you about that a little bit later. But I love this. This was just a test. I would never, the orange is not my color, but I'm gonna put this away, I'll give it to somebody who's interested in it, but I love this idea, and I'm definitely going to make more of these. So Sophie scarf came next. Let's see what was after that. Okay. So I love perusing Etsy for handmade yarn or hand drafted and spun and that whole thing. So I actually have two of these. One of them is downstairs because I use it. So the name of the yarn is a private spinner from Etsy, and that is on my Ravelry page if you want to check that out. The name of this headband is Shae, S-H-A-E. And to be honest with you, this was my first one, and you can probably tell this is all cabled, but the cables don't really pop on this one. I actually did one of the stitches consistently wrong. So although there are cables, you might be able to see them better that way, but there you go. The one that's downstairs actually pops so much better because I did the pattern appropriately. But this is a bulky hand spun yarn, and it is beautiful. I love it. One of these I'm keeping for myself. And then I did the black leaf headband. I started realizing that I wanted to try something that I did not have to like put on over my head and mess up my hair if I was going to walk the dog in the morning, or if I'm home during the day at lunch. So I wanted to try something that had a closure. So this one is I think it was the green leaf headband. And this one is probably going to be very hard to see. I'll have to show you. There you go. You can see it has a really beautiful pattern with some lace, and then you just wrap it around, and I put a vintage button on it. Isn't that pretty? So I love that one, and I made two of those out of one skein, and this was, I think it was Cascade bulky or chunky, 109 bulky, and I think it's 109 yards. But I really love this one a lot, and I'm definitely keeping one of these. I'm gonna put that aside. And then this one will go into the reserves that I'm gonna talk about in a little bit. Then the next two, oh, I love this one so much. This is also the blue leaf headband pattern. And I had a specially dyed Kirby Werby striped bulky yarn from one of my friends. It was from Kristen, who has the podcast Queen City Yarn. But of course, because I can't just follow the normal process, I had to separate the colors in the striped skein and do it so that I could wear it to match my outfit. So I did this one with all the blues and brights, and then just a black, a little bit of the leftover from the last one on, and then a button on this one. And this yarn is so beautiful, but isn't that pattern pretty? I love that. I really love this one. And then on this one, I did all the pinks and purples and grays. And then just a random gray that I had for the edging, because I think at that point it was running out of yarn. But these, I think, well, you'll see. I have quite a few that are my favorites now. I really love it. And so that was the blue leaf headband, and the yarn was Kirby Werby Bulky hand dyed. And that was a gift from a friend. Okay. How did I miss one? I missed one. Okay. This is also the blue leaf headband pattern, but this was a Chelsea Luxe yarn chunky called Red Carpet. And this is another one that I made for myself. Another vintage button on there. Because, you know, if you're going to wear it, you might as well be cute, right? Look at that. Oh, I love it so much. So I love that. And then I had an extra one. Okay, so let's see. I have one of these downstairs. These two are for me. This red one, a black one. I am keeping this one just because it's not really perfect and it's kind of cute. My husband loved this one for me. So these are the ones that I'm keeping. Oh, I also have another one that I'm going to keep that I have downstairs was the one that I mattress stitched together wrong. So I just keep that in one of my pockets. And then I have one of these because it's so pretty. I forget who that was. Was this Madeline Tosh? So I have for myself 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I have 7 for myself that I'm keeping. 8 if you include the other purple one. Okay, so all of these that I have, and I've dropped one on the floor. So I belong to a large group of ladies that I see once a month. And if you are one of the ladies that I'm talking about that does not knit but watches my podcast, please keep this secret to yourself. I am going to continue using up my small skeins like this, or smaller DK skeins or leftovers, and I'm going to continue making headbands or hats or Sophie scarves, and then I'm just going to bring them. We always have a holiday event for this group, and I'm just going to tell them to take whatever they like or choose one that they like. So it's brought me a lot of joy and what's the word I'm looking for? Calmness during a very challenging time to do all this, and to just be able to make something small and accomplish and finish a project. So that has been fantastic, and I have enjoyed that. Those are all my whips. I only have one. Those are all my FOs. I only have one work in progress, and I literally just cast on. So I'm going to save that one to talk about for next time. While I have my iPad open, I figure I might as well tell you about this. So this is the Juniper Cowl, and this is crocheted, and this is a Hue Loco. It was one of the January snowdrop from last January. And this, I think, is all fingering, but you really can't see it. I didn't realize how low I am. You can see my stuff up there. But I love this. My office here is extremely cold. So I always need something around my neck because the vent is, I sit over there. Whoop, and the vent seems to, like, the cold air seems to hit me in the back of the neck. So this is something I finished last year. All right, that's it for FOs. Okay, so the next thing I wanted to talk about was tools that I have been using and that I have rediscovered because I was knitting in places that I don't normally knit with limited light, or I was in a part of the room where the light did not shine down on me, so I had to make the best of what I was doing. So the first thing I wanted to talk about was these lights that you put around your neck. So I'm going to talk about the ones that I don't like and don't recommend now. This was the first one that I had. The name is worn off, but it is battery operated. The battery's in here, and the light is not that great. So I definitely don't recommend that one. So the next light that I tried was my Hug light. I don't know if that's going to be backwards. I guess it is. And this one is also battery operated. And this one was okay, but still not great, because often, you know, you want the light to come down and focus right on your project. And number one, it wasn't long enough, because if you look at where it's pointing, it's going to point straight ahead. So this was not super great. And that's the Hug light. Okay, these are iterations that I've tried over the years. I don't even know why I still have them. This was the last one that I got. It's called LED GLE, I think. LED GLE. This one is much longer, as you can see. This one has a USB charger, and it may not look it, but this is much brighter. And it goes from, there's, oops, hold on, where's the thing? 2 bulbs to, then you could turn 1 bulb on, then 2 bulbs on, then, I can't remember, what is that last one? Okay, so this is probably the best that I found for over the neck lights. If you want to have something with a directed light. These move very easily all over the place. They're fantastic. So, but even this was not meeting my needs, because I was, while my husband was recovering at night, he had a couple weeks where he was pretty much immobile. I would hang out in the bedroom with him, in a chair, and the bedroom is not bright. I like my bedroom to be like a cave. So I was trying everything I had to make it as bright as possible. So one thing so that was around the neck. This I used for, I think I left my Cocoa Knits chart pattern. I'll put a picture in here, but I'm sure you guys all are familiar with that. So I was using the Cocoa Knits chart pattern keeper, and then I would put a book light over it. This one, I've run out of the battery, but I actually have one that is attached. This one is mighty bright. I don't know if you can see that. And was not that great. I just got a random white one from, I think it was like Barnes & Noble or something once. Yeah, so this was okay in a pinch, but it was not great. But it helped with targeting the light, and it's really bendy, as is the other one. I'll try to put a picture of the other one in here. So that was for the pattern keeper. Then I had another, before I found my book lights, I don't even know why I have this. Somebody gave it to me, and it is a selfie light that you can attach to your phone. But honestly, if you can see how it's angled, this is e.l.f. makeup, and this was $3, I think. And I just positioned it at the bottom of my chart and let the light shine up. You gotta be creative. When desperate times call for desperate measures. So, so that was something else I used. Not really would recommend it, but if you have one, it's something you can think of. So I got real serious at one point and I decided I really want a bright light. So then I found this, and this is supposed to be a headlamp. Look at this. Let me see if I can turn it on while it's here. I have not used it as a headlamp. Nope, I can't find it. Here it is. Okay, ready? So look, you have this here, but then there's also, look at, there's a light there. So here's what I did. I put this around my neck, and obviously I have my big ass scarf on. I would not be wearing that. But this was perfect because the light shone down onto my hands where I was knitting, but it did not bother my husband, who was sitting, you know, in the bed next to me. So this, honestly, I have to tell you, I think is better than those neck lights because it's much brighter. I think it's meant to be used for like walking outside, or I don't even know, spelunking or something. But the intent, I can guarantee, was not for knitting or crafts. But, and this one is called Alpha, I don't know, Alpha Andices. I'll put the link down below. I got this off of Amazon. And I think this is a chargeable one too. I'm trying to remember. Yeah, I think this is a USB charger. So that was all that I used trying to get creative so that I could work on my projects and just keep myself sane while I was, you know, stuck at home or in a limited space, but still wanted to have something to work on and feel like I was getting something finished. So those are my tools and my recommendations for knitting in not so bright places. Okay, I had one more thing to add to knitting tools that I forgot, that was sitting here that I forgot about. I have these knit clips, which I probably bought 20 years ago, 15 years ago, when I didn't know that I could just make raglans for the rest of my life, which is my plan. I think at that point I had seamed together a vest and something else. And after seaming that headband, which was a wreck, I got out my knit clips and was able to seam the rest of them much better. But I highly recommend these. And honestly, you could even use hair clips if you have them. But I've had these for a long time, so I decided to get them out and use them. And I'll show you what they look like. They don't look like hair clips. They have a little, just one little thing that will clamp onto your pattern pieces between the stitches. So this worked really well. So that's something that might be worth trying if you are someone who likes to make separate pieces and seam them together. I try to avoid that at all cost. Okay, so I've only had the opportunity to listen to or read a couple books. The first one was Hooked: How Crafting Saved My Life by Sutton Foster. Some of you may be familiar with Sutton Foster because she is a Broadway star, but she also was in the TV show or TV series Younger. And she was the person who was in her 40s and living the lie and life of a 20-something-year-old. And it was very cute. Well, it wasn't just cute, it was a good book. If you are a crafter or a maker, it was about how making things helped her in every aspect of her life through some very challenging parts of her life. Just like the 6,000 headbands that I made, which may be my new life now, during the last month. It was very good. I got it from the library, so I highly recommend it. Then the next one was the highly anticipated Spare by Prince Harry, and I loved it. I like him. I am team Harry and Meghan all the way. I am down with the sorry, I heard some weird noise in my house. Down with the Kingdom of England, or, well, I can't even remember what that's called, but I think the throne and a lot of those things that come with it are silly. So I am definitely team Harry and Meghan. It's a good book, and explains a lot about why they are in the predicament that they're in and why they ended up walking away from the family. The other one I read, I subscribe to Audible every month, and Audible often will have a bunch of freebies, or I think they're freebies, because honestly, even if it's 99 cents, unless it's an anticipated book that I wanted to read, I probably wouldn't get it unless somebody recommended it. So this one book that I listened to, it was called The Bookstore Sisters, and I think it was only 2 hours. It was actually a really good book. And I highly recommend that if you listen to Audible. Oh, the Prince Harry book was fantastic, by the way. And so was Hooked, because the authors read it. So Harry read his and Sutton Foster read hers. And they're very good. They both have great speaking voices. Harry is definitely not the polished royal that Prince William is. And if you listen to it, you will understand. But I feel like he's much more relatable. So that is it for books. I watched a lot of movies and TV. The first time I recorded this, I probably went through about 20 things. I will put below maybe my top 5. I can't find my list now, but I will tell you the ones that stand out for me were Ginny and Georgia. I think it was the 2nd season, and you know those things, they're kind of like the Hallmark series. I am not a huge fan of the Hallmark series, but I will tell you, I can understand watching them when you just need something that you do not need to use your brain to think about. And I like the Ginny and Georgia one for that reason. I have been recently watching a new, Ginny and Georgia is on Netflix. I have been watching a new to me series. Apparently there's 3 seasons out and I wasn't even aware of it. It's called Truth Be Told with Octavia Spencer. I was recently listening to Octavia Spencer on Dax Shepard's Armchair podcast. And she was talking about how she is a true crime junkie and a follower, admirer, as am I, of John Douglas, who was the FBI's first profiler, serial killer profiler. And John Douglas wrote several books quite a while ago. And they based the HBO series Mindhunter on all of his books. So I have been a huge fan of the profiling, the understanding, not the true crime itself, but understanding the mind of someone like that. Anyway, long story short, Octavia Spencer was talking about that on Armchair Experts with Dax Shepard and Monica Padman, and was saying the same thing. And so she created her own series on Apple Plus, where she is a true crime podcaster in the same vein as Serial, Serial. When I told my husband this, he thought I was saying Cereal. If you know, you know. But it's not, it is a made for TV series, and it is fantastic. It has some really great characters that come and go. Each season has a new crime profile. I'm on the 2nd season, and the first one was fantastic. The second one is fantastic as well, so I can't wait to get to the 3rd one. I'm trying to think what else we watched that was amazing. I really just can't think about it right now. But like I said, I will list some below. Okay, randomness. What do I have to tell you? I'm glad I'm over the hump of my husband's surgery. I'm going back to work starting next week, so I have to put on real clothes. Oh, Lord help me. My go-to soothing is not only knitting but eating, so I have about 10 pounds to lose. My clothes are going to be a little tight next week, but I'm just happy to be getting back to normal. believe it or not, I'm still slightly obsessed with headbands. So this might be my new life now. This just might be who I am. I'm a headband maker. It kind of is fun. I am going to commit. I have committed to my husband to getting back to working on his sweater. Now that I have, you know, less stress in my life, and I feel like I could do it without screwing it up. Other than that, you know, I don't have any grand goals for 2023. I know last year I did the Make 9 projection and I failed miserably. I think I made 2 out of that. So this year is my go with the flow. One thing that I have really enjoyed is using all these random skeins that I have sitting around. I would say most of these that I had were random skeins that I purchased because I thought they were beautiful, or like in the knit picks situation, I bought them because I wanted to try them thinking about a future sweater. But it's kind of nice to use up all those odds and ends and clear out some space. So that will definitely continue. As for what my focus is going to be, I don't know. We will see. It's going to be, I'm just going to let it flow and see what happens. I did not have any acquisitions this month. I have made some purchases, but they haven't arrived yet, so I'll share that with you next time. But I'm just happy to get back and connect with all of you, and I hope your January has been great. Hope your February will be just as good as, if not better, and I look forward to chatting with you soon.